The Backyard Brawl Hardwood Edition is coming up this Friday night at 8 p.m. as West Virginia travels to Pittsburgh to take on the Pitt Panthers. We're going to preview that game today, and I'm bringing on a guest to do that. I'd like to welcome in from Pittsburgh Sports Now and the Portal Report, Mr. George Micahlowski. George, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Couz. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your busy day. Just want to, first of all, before we get into the content of the show, can you just kind of introduce yourself to everybody, let them know where they find you, your work, and where they can interact with you on social media?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you see the username right below, Micahlowski, CBB. I cover Pitt for Pittsburgh Sports Now, cover transfer portal, help coaches recruit the portal with the Portal Report. Worked with the guy, Ethan Bach, pour one out for good old Ethan. I'm sure he's tuning into this episode, but yeah, worked there for the past 4 or 5 years at Pittsburgh Sports Now. Started the Portal Report 2-3 years ago. So yeah, man, I'm basically in a basketball gym every other night around Pittsburgh, covering Pitt, Duquesne, Robert Morris. I know you guys saw RMU that opening game, so I get all levels of basketball, which is awesome.
Awesome, that is awesome.
Yeah.
So you are inundated with basketball. That's great, man. What a way to live, right? Somebody's got to do it, though, right? I mean, it's a hard job, but somebody's got to do it.
I mean, there hasn't been many people at those Robert Morris games over the past few years, but I love going and even Duquesne, like seeing them last year, they made the tournament. It's like, you gotta see these stories and get these stories out there. It's cool. Yeah. It's great basketball around here.
Yeah. In all honesty, though, I mean, I know you guys in the media do. I mean, you guys work hard. I was obviously joking about that, but you guys do put in a lot of hours and a lot of time. So much respect for what you guys do.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and dive right into this game, and I'm excited. You know, West Virginia fans are very excited about this season. A lot of unknowns, obviously, with a brand new roster, brand new staff, not knowing what to expect. It's kind of exciting, right? You know, we were under Bob Huggins, and we loved Huggins, but you know, I think a lot of us were ready for something different. You know, sometimes things get stale, and change is good. So, and obviously, after last year's debacle, after the Hugs chaos, we're very happy to see the direction the program's going. But man, this Pitt team, they're 3-0 on the season. They look really good so far. Can you talk a little bit of and let the West Virginia fans know what to expect from this Pitt team?
Yeah, so Pitt as a program is trending upwards, I would say. They made the tournament 2 seasons ago. Last year, narrowly missed the tournament. They were one of the first 4 out. So heading into this season, there were high expectations. They brought back 2 of their best guards from last year. Bub Carrington's gone. Blake Hinson's gone. I'm sure West Virginia fans will be happy to hear that.
Yes.
And they brought back Jaland Lowe and Ishmael Leggett, who are going to be the 2 leading scorers for Pitt this year. Jaland has taken that next step this year. He has the ball in his hands pretty much every single time up the court, making great decisions, scoring, passing the ball. He can shoot. You know, he can run the pick and roll with the Pitt's bigs, which they like to do pretty much every possession in the half court. And he's just a great player, becoming a great leader. Jeff Capel calls him a veteran, even though he's only a sophomore. So he's popping up. Jaland Lowe on NBA mock drafts right now. He's a 6'3" guard, number 15. You'll see him with the ball, taking the ball up the court. Ishmael Leggett, strong guard. You guys saw him last year again. He's going to take the ball inside more than Jaland Lowe, and he's going to be a physical guy, and he can also shoot. He's shooting the ball really well this year off the catch, and those 2 guys kind of combine to lead Pitt. Now they have other pieces too. They brought in a big. So the last few years, Pitt's had bigs that can't really create for themselves. Federico, West Virginia legend, right? Committed there at one time. So like, he was a rim runner. He could catch lobs. He could block shots. That was good for Pitt. This year, they've brought in Cam Corrin, transfer from Florida State, who is a creator. Like, this guy can shoot from the mid-range. He's already made a couple of mid-range shots this year. He can also finish lobs and also block shots. He's more physical than Federico was. He can put the ball on the floor. Like, he can dribble the ball and actually handle it. No slight at Federico there too. It's just he's a different, I guess, better looking big and more versatile big So he runs a pick and roll. He'll set a lot of screens for Jaland Lowe. He'll set a lot of screens for Ishmael Leggett. Roll to the basket, slam home a dunk, or pop or find a shooter on the outside. So this new big man dynamic at Pitt is like one of the main storylines that I've been watching, that a lot of Pitt fans are watching. So Cam Corrin, I'm really excited to see him go against Amani Hansberry.
Yeah,
because they kind of – I watched Amani's film from the UMass game, and they're kind of similar in that when they get going downhill, like they're not going to be stopped. Like you don't really want to get in front of them. I saw a couple times when Amani got fouled, and he was just going like straight line drive right to the rim, and whether it's in transition or in the half court, like he's a good player on the drive. So both of them are going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, and as a West Virginia fan, I'm concerned about, we obviously know that West Virginia's undersized and is going to be going to be an issue all year potentially. They're going to try not to make it an issue, but Amani should be playing the 4. He's a stretch 4, but out of necessity he's having to play the 5. And he's going to be a couple inches undersized in this game when you look at Corrin, who's 6'10", and versus Amani, who's about 6'8". But Amani, he can pull his guys out away from the basket. But from the way you're talking about Corrin, it sounds like he has no issue playing away from the basket. Is that fair?
Yeah, at Florida State, he didn't get outside the paint. Like he was I think he was in like the 98th percentile in finishing at the rim. So like this guy has great touch. He can dunk over people. He finishes with both hands over both shoulders, hook shots, layups, everything. But they didn't really bring him outside. I know Pitt's higher on his outside ability than FSU was. Like they have tried to incorporate him, like I said, in more higher pick and rolls where he can pop for a mid-range jumper. Now, he wasn't too decisive, or I wouldn't say decisive. He wasn't leaning towards that jump shot much in the last few games for Pitt. But they do, I think, want to see him do that more often. So I think he can defend out there. He's athletic enough to keep up with Amani. I did see, Hansberry hit a 3 the other day. I was kind of surprised, but I saw him in high school play against Bub Carrington actually a few years ago in DC or in Baltimore. And I thought he was a project, right? I thought it would take him like a few years at Illinois, but he looked like he's comfortable stepping outside and shooting the ball. So that'll be an interesting matchup to watch for me, especially because, like you said, West Virginia's undersized. I heard Mike Ostie and Cody Nesper talking about that on their show, how DeVries is kind of like buying in, like we got to win possession by possession. It doesn't matter if we're undersized. Pitt's got a lot of size, and they've got a lot of height and length. Like they have a third guard who I didn't even mention yet, Damian Dunn, 6'5", 205 pounds, and he's a guard. There's lineups that they'll throw out there where the shortest guy is 6'3", but the rest of them are like between 6'5" and 6 or 7 foot with the twins, the Spanish twins they got. So that'll be really fun to watch. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. I mean, West Virginia, we're not expecting West Virginia to win a lot of rebounding battles. I mean, Coach DeVries' philosophy is we have to rebound better as a team. He needs his guards to rebound. He needs, all the forwards. He needs everybody crashing the boards. Everybody, fundamentally being fundamentally sound, boxing out. The way they word it, they make sure they hit their opponents. By that they mean box them out, make contact with them, get your body into them, box them out. So that's kind of what he's having to focus on, right? And make, try to offset the lack of size with better fundamentals. But when you look at the rebounding difference here right now, and of course it's very small sample size. I mean, Pitt's played 3 games, West Virginia's played 2, but right now Pitt is averaging 39.7 rebounds a game to West Virginia's 36.5. So, 3 rebound difference. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it kind of is if you think about it, when you're looking at averages. So that is a concern. But one thing I noticed when I was looking at the numbers here, Pitt doesn't shoot a ton of threes, do they?
No, and it's a lot different than last year's team. Like Blake Hinson, I don't have to remind West Virginia fans, I know, but He literally set the program record for 3-pointers in a season and in a game last year at the Coliseum. But this year's team looks a lot different. They're, I guess, in a way, similar to West Virginia's rebounding. Like the focus on shooting this year is more as a whole. Like, let's get good 3-point shots up as a whole. Like, Jeff Capel said it, like, I don't anticipate anyone will hit 100 threes like Blake Hinson did in one season this year. But Jaland Lowe, Ishmael Leggett, I mean, Damian Dunn, he's a guy who at Temple, before he transferred to Houston and then to Pitt, he was a near 40% shooter off the catch. So he's a good shooter. Dunn. Zach Austin, still not quite proven from 3-point range, but he's good for 1 or 2 a game. I mean, whether that's on 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 attempts, we don't know. But he made 63s twice at High Point 3-4 years ago. So he can shoot it too. The twins are both stretch forwards. Like Guillermo and Jorge both have solid 3-point shooting numbers. So those guys will come in. Like, you can't miss them when they come in. I mean, I'm sure WVU fans have seen them in the past, but when they come in, you're going to see something different than Corin, where they are mostly going to be pick and pop guys. They'll pop out after a screen and look for a 3 right off the bat. So, yeah, man, it's going to be interesting seeing how Pitt decides to, like, how their stats weigh out 3-point shooting wise this year, because it looks much different, but there are a lot of guys who can shoot on this team.
Yeah. And that, when you look at their stats, 51% field goal percentage, that's really high, right? But and you look at Ishmael Leggett, 19.7 points a game. He only puts up about 3 to 4 threes a game, so he's getting most of his points in the paint. And likes to take it to the rim. Is that an accurate assessment?
For sure. Yeah, he likes to get out in transition. You'll see him probably once or twice a game pull out a spin move in transition, so watch out for that. He likes to get in the paint. He's a physical finisher, can finish in traffic. Now, his 3-pointers, most of them come when they're wide open, at least from what remembering from what I've seen this year. But he's not afraid to shoot it. He's not a kind of guy who's really going to break you down in an ISO situation and shoot a 3. He's more so going to look at you a one-on-one ISO situation and take you inside and kind of try to bully you. Whereas Jaland Lowe, I mean, he's a guy who can break you down. He'll shoot a step-back 3. He'll shoot a step-back mid-range shot. He's more so a skill guy trying to make a play on the outside, or shoot up a floater over bigger defenders.
Right.
Leggett's the stronger guy. He's going to take you inside. He has a nice jump shot too. So when he has open shots, he's going to make them. Like, he's been around college basketball for a while now. He's a good player. Yeah.
In this game, I mean, I see both teams like to get out and run in transition, but they do it in different ways. Like, for example, where Pitt likes to attack the rim more. West Virginia, when you look at their numbers, this was staggering to me. 48% of their shot attempts are from 3.
It's nuts.
When you look at Tucker DeVries, who's their leading scorer, averaging over 17 a game right now,
he's only had two pointers.
70% of his shots attempts have been from 3.
Yeah, I saw
70%.
I was shocked by that. I was watching some of him against UMass, and he's only made 2-point field goals this year.
And his range is unbelievable. Like, there's not a spot on the court he can't shoot it from. And there's really not a player on this team that can't shoot the ball at least decent, right? I mean, you got Sincere Harris, for example, is known more for his defense. He's a great on-ball defender. I actually expect that they'll probably match him up. It'll be interesting to see, actually, whether they match him up with Lowe or Leggett, or maybe switch him off. I would expect them to put him on Lowe to try to, put ball pressure on the point guard, but he could switch off. So that'll be an interesting matchup. But he's not a great shooter. Amani's not a great shooter, but he can make it from out there. So, but I mean, Tucker can shoot it. Javon Small can shoot it. We've got a guy off the bench, a freshman named Jonathan Powell, who's a true freshman, who's averaging 10 a game. And that includes our exhibition game. He put 10 in the exhibition game in as well. So, and his shot, he has one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen. So,
really? He, in my eyes, came out of nowhere. I followed the team, West Virginia, pretty closely because of Ethan. I didn't really know much about Powell.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, KJ Tenner, and I'll be interested to see how many minutes Tenner gets tonight. He's an undersized guard, very under-recruited. I think Darian DeVries was the only coach. Only, and of course he was at Drake at the time. He didn't really have any high major offers. But Coach DeVries, as soon as Coach DeVries got the West Virginia job, he asked KJ to come with him. And of course he took him up on it. He's only about 6'1", so 6 foot 6'1". He's kind of undersized, but man, he is very mature. He's very calm demeanor. He knows he's very high basketball IQ. He just doesn't play like a freshman. He can shoot it, but he likes to take it off the bounce and distribute the ball. But very, very mature player for his age. It'll be interesting to see many minutes he gets, but he can score it too. But Jonathan Powell is, Coach DeVries said in the press conference, he said Jonathan has the green light anytime he wants it, and he's not afraid to use it. So
wow,
they want that young man to shoot the basketball. But so for any Pitt fans watching, that's one player to look out for coming off the bench for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, that's definitely someone I didn't have on the top of the scouting report. Yeah. Pittsburgh basketball fans have seen Toby O'Connie play, but I would not have expected Powell's name to come up above his. Toby's a good player, don't get me wrong, but
yeah, Toby's good, and Toby can score it. Toby can score. He's not. There's another one. He's not really known as an outside shooter,
right?
But he's really good at taking the ball to the rim, and he's just one of those guys that has a knack for getting the ball in the hole, right? He just finds a way. He's good at using his body to get the ball to the rim. He can score in the mid range. He's not going to kill you from three, but he can put in 10 to 15 points on any given night if he wants to. But this West Virginia team, even though they're not tall as far as size at every position, they are long and they do have some length. So they do have the ability to force some turnovers. But what worries me about this, George, about this game as a West Virginia fan is I worry about the turnovers. West Virginia right now is turning the ball over at about 12.5 a game. That worries me a little bit. And whereas Pitt right now is only averaging 8.7 turnovers a game. So I feel like West Virginia's probably going to have to clean that up a little bit to have a shot in this game. What are your thoughts on the turnovers?
Yeah, that number is concerning for West Virginia, especially just because of the competition they've played against. Pitt's are a little bit lower. Now, two of Pitt's games, this most recent one, Gardner-Webb and Radford, were significantly lower level of competition. The Murray State game, though, was – Murray State's a really good team. I think that team will be a really good squad in that conference this year. So they've held on to the ball pretty well so far. Damian Dunn didn't have a single turnover in his first two games. I don't know. I didn't see if he got a turnover in their last game against Gardner-Webb. But Ishmael Leggett, again, he's probably the team leader in turnovers with 5, 6, 7, I think. Cam Corrin's got around 5, I believe. So those guys just getting a handle on, I think Ishmael Leggett's more turnover prone because he's a guy who's willing to throw a spin move in there, and he's getting in the lane where there's a lot of defenders, reaching out for the ball and everything. Whereas Cam Corrin is the same way. He's inside, he's trying to put the ball on the floor, he's trying to figure out how he can really be an aggressive big. Another thing about Corrin, he never played more than, I believe, 20 or 21 minutes a game in his first 2 years at Florida State. So his numbers were solid, but he only averaged 3-4 rebounds a game last year. He didn't even average double-digit scoring. Pitt thinks he can be much better than that on the stat sheet. I think all of this, the turnovers for Cam, the scoring, the rebounding, I think all of this is a learning experience for him. He's the main piece inside for Pitt this year, whereas he's never been that before. So with Corrin's turnovers, with Leggett's turnovers, I think those are going to happen during this year. Jaland Lowe and Damian Dunn are both just really solid ball handlers. Jalen's more the flashy kind of guy who's going to make a highlight play on a step back or a crossover. Damian Dunn will back you down. Again, he'll shoot the open threes late in the shot clock. He can ISO you and shoot a contested three. They've got good ball handlers. So I don't think it'll be too much of an issue on Pitt's end. As I remember going to the Coliseum, I think 3 seasons ago, and Femi Odukale who's now playing for, I believe, Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
turned the ball over, man, I think 5-6 times. The Pitt team had 30 turnovers in that game.
Yeah.
I think it was the most I'd ever seen in a game, and West Virginia was all over them. So it could play a big role. I saw John Rothstein took away the West Virginia Rothsteinism. So
yeah, it's a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So he did it last year when they only won 9 games.
Yeah,
an interim coach.
I don't know.
But this year we actually have a coach who's, and Darian DeVries is a defensive. He does it in a different way than what Huggins did, but he's a defensive minded guy. He really stresses defense, and they like to force turnovers and get out in transition, those types of things. So you think it would make sense to keep it now if you had, I don't know. If I had to guess, Rothstein's just tired of doing it.
Yeah, maybe he's got like a DeVries one.
I don't know. Maybe he said he might come up with something new, so we'll see. But West Virginia fans, we were a little disappointed in that because that was kind of something we always look forward to after every win was, getting on Twitter to see Rothstein's tweet. It was just fun.
Oh yeah.
One area though, I do want to, I mentioned West Virginia's turnovers. In all fairness to them, though, I do want to point out UMass, even though UMass is not a Power 4 team, they're expected to win 20 games this year, or at least could win 20 games, and they're a very physical team. So Frank Martin, of Bob Huggins' disciple, Bob Huggins' clone, whatever you want to call it, does play a very physical brand of basketball, but still, West Virginia needs to clean that up. The one area though where West Virginia does have a slight advantage, again, small sample size, 2 games, 3 for Pitt, is free throw percentage. Pitt right now is only shooting 71% from the stripe. West Virginia shooting about 78. Pitt's 49 to 69, I think, is what I saw, something like that. So, you think that'll get better? You think this is just a case of small sample size, or do you think that's something that they'll struggle with on the
year? It's a really interesting question because you hate to nitpick. Like after some of these games, no one wants to be the reporter to ask Capel what is going on with the free throw shooting because it's free throws. We all know it's not something obviously the more you practice, the better you'll get. At the same time, there are NBA players who struggle with free throws in games. You could hit 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 in practice and go 5 out of 10 in the game. There's just a different mental aspect to shooting free throws. Having the spotlight on you, the game stopped, it's quiet, sometimes it's loud. So I don't think it's something yet that I would say is a big concern for Pitt. Some of the players that I would expect to make pretty much all their free throws, some of their guards missed a few in the last few games. I don't think that's going to – I think they'll shoot a pretty high percentage. Cam Corrin hasn't shot them particularly well so far. He's got an interesting-looking shot, but he can he's made mid-range shots. He's got the film out there where he gets it done. You watch the guy in warm-ups, he's doing just fine. So it's I don't think free throws are a thing you have to worry about yet if you're a Pitt fan.
That's fair.
But, who knows? It comes down to the end of the game, and Pitt's trying to break a West Virginia press or something, and you want to get Cam Corrin on the free throw line if you're West Virginia. He hasn't shown that he can make them yet at a high rate, and especially with a pressure situation, that's amplified. So it'll be something to watch for, but I don't think it's something to worry about.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to foul Jaland Lowe. He's 100% on the year so far.
Yeah.
He's 10 12 or 12 or something like that. So
right.
Again, I'm talking here with George Micahlowski from the Portal Report and Pittsburgh Sports Now, who covers Pitt basketball, previewing the Backyard Brawl. Is there any George, you have covered a lot of ground, man, and I love it. It's awesome. You know your stuff. Are there any other details or players on that Pitt team that you haven't talked about yet that West Virginia fans need to be aware of?
Oh, man, let me think. There's a freshman guard, Biba Cummings. His name's Brandon. They call him Biba. He's the little brother of Nelly Cummings, who played at Pitt 2 years ago when they went to the NCAA tournament. He gets a lot of run. He gets a lot of playing time early on, more than I expected when he committed. He was a 3-4 star kind of mixed prospect in the top 150, but not top 100 kind of guy. And I know rankings don't matter at all. But he didn't have a lot of hype coming around him nationally around him when he came into Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
And he's played right, like he hit the ground running. He can shoot the ball. He can make open shots. He can create. He loves to score. Like that's everything that the coaches say about him, is that he just loves to score, and he can get a bucket. Like they're encouraging him to be more aggressive and do his thing. So he's a local kid. Again, he's been around the program for a few years. You'll recognize the name Cummings if you're watching the game. And he's a solid player. He's young. He's going to make some mistakes, but he's super athletic. And he's a scorer, man. He's wired that way, and he's wowed the crowd on multiple instances so far already. Like he's got some real skill with the ball in his hands. Other than that, I'm trying to think. They actually have a wing, Amsal Delalic, who is from Bosnia. He's 6'8", I believe, 210 pounds. And this guy made, I believe, 83s last year in a professional league in Bosnia. He's a 21-year-old freshman.
Wow.
So he's a guy who, like, Pitt fans have been ecstatic to see him play. Now, he broke his shooting hand, about 2 months ago. So he missed Pitt's first 2 games, came back on Monday against Gardner-Webb and played 9 minutes. He made 1 shot out of, I think, 4 attempts. But he's a guy who, like, Pitt expects, and the way that they've spoken about him, and the way that his stats look from his past years, like, he's a guy that they expect and that Pitt fans expect to make a big impact on this team. So there's a chance that this game or one of the next few games for Pitt is his, coming out party, where he kind of lights it up. And, if you're looking at the Pitt stats, you're not going to see him near the top of shooting numbers, scoring numbers, anything. So number 52, Amsal Delalic, I would expect that one of these games he'll kind of break out with the more minutes that he can get off the bench.
Awesome. Thanks for that. You mentioned rankings earlier, so it made me think about this question. What are, going into this season, what were the expectations from Pitt fans around Pitt Nation? Was it, NCAA tournament or bust? Was it, hey, we just want to have a winning season? What are the expectations now in Jeff Capel? Jeff Capel's been there a few years now, and I know there's, I think he was on the hot seat a little bit going into last year, potentially, based on what I was hearing on social media anyway. So what were the reasonable expectations for Pitt fans going into this year?
Yeah, expectations, NCAA tournament at the minimum, I think, this year. Make the field is the very minimum.
Okay.
The people around the program, the players, the fans that keep track of this team, on a daily basis, think that this could be a second weekend type team. Now, like I said, they made the tournament 2 years ago. Last year, they missed it. So there was still, like, going into Selection Sunday, they thought they had a shot at making. They thought they finished the season strong. They had a huge win at Duke that kind of turned their year around. They had some lovable players for Pitt fans, Blake Hinson, Bob Carrington, etc. So, like, there was a lot of enthusiasm around the program last year. The result, obviously, like, they lost a few games early in the season that you can't lose if you want to make the tournament, including at Missouri, who I don't even know if they won an SEC game. So the result wasn't there. They didn't make the tournament last year, but there was still a lot of energy, enthusiasm around this program. Like, all right, we're right there. So then this year, as you asked, I mean, the expectations were, we got to make the NCAA tournament this year. And then the fans are like, we got to go we can go second weekend. This could be a team that goes to the Sweet 16, potentially the Elite Eight, because they've got good guards. They've got veteran guards, and they've got a really talented potential pro guard in Jaland Lowe. So it's like, I don't know. I think those are always the key to making a deep run in March. You need a guy who can handle the ball under pressure, a guy who can score under pressure. So they've got the pieces. They've got a big man who can create on his own and offer at least a threat to score the ball inside. So there's a lot of optimism around the program right now. With all that being said, I think they were picked 7th in the ACC preseason poll. But Pitt fans and people around the program seem to think that, they're shooting for that top 4, top 5 in the ACC in an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, obviously the programs are in two different spots right now. Western breaking in a new coach, new staff, new players. But I'll tell you, the optimism is pretty high at West Virginia. Now, most fans are not, I don't think, expecting anything drastic. We're not expecting a Sweet 16. I personally am not even expecting a tournament appearance. I mean, we're talking an entirely new roster with the exception of 2 people. And one of those is redshirting and the other one's a walk-on football player. Right. So they're not going to play anyway. At least not on game day, right? So, I mean, everybody that's going to play on game day is brand new to the roster. Now, but there's some talent there, though. You've got Javon Small, who was a all Big 12 performer last year. Tucker DeVries, who averaged over 20 a game at Drake. All right, there is some talent on the roster. So if they could put it all together, this team could surprise some people. The Big 12 is obviously loaded with Houston, Arizona, Baylor expected to do. Iowa State is, a top 10 team, or came into the season a top 10 team anyway. So, and you're talking about recruiting at a high level. Iowa State is killing it. That's a totally different topic, but they're killing it on the recruiting show right now. But anyway, expectations for me are probably, if they can win 15, 16 basketball games, to me, I think that's a pretty good first year for a brand new coach on a brand new program, or a brand new roster rather. So, now, I'm sure the staff and players have higher expectations than that. But for me, as a fan looking on, trying to be realistic, I think that's, and when I look at West Virginia's schedule and I see Kansas and Houston and Arizona, those teams on it, and we have to play Gonzaga in non-conference. I mean, that's nuts. You guys, tough schedule, right? Tough schedule for welcome to big boy, welcome to Power 4 basketball. Darian DeVries. But that being said, this game here, you've got ESPN matchup predictor has Pitt at like a 77% chance to win. I don't know. Are you okay doing a score prediction for the game, or are you allowed to? How's that work?
Yeah, I'm allowed to. I mean, I can. So I saw that I saw someone tweet out that Ken Palm's site had Pitt projected as around a 9-point favorite.
Okay.
That's on a home court. I think that's probably where I'd have it for Pitt. Now, if this game was at the Coliseum, I'd probably have it around like 5-6 point favorite, just because I've been to the Coliseum for those games the past few times. So I do think it'll be around 9-10 point game that Pitt comes out with it. I think West Virginia's close, like you said. Like, I think the program's going to be in a good place. I think DeVries is the guy. That being said, like, the talent on their roster has done it at the college level, which I love, especially as like a transfer portal guy, like advocate. I love how they went out and got proven pieces from Division I basketball. That is a proven strategy for a lot of teams. Now I just want to see more of them play before I can be like, okay, Toby Okani can really light it up in a Power 4 game. Like Eduardo Andre can really make an impact against a Power 4 team. And I know I just nitpicked 2 of their guys.
No, that's fair. Eduardo Andre, I mean, he's the only guy on the roster that plays significant minutes that's above 6'8". So
there you go. Right.
That's fair.
Exactly. Yeah. So like when they run into these Big 12 teams, like how are these guys going to hold up? So I think they're close. I do think Pitt's the better team right now, in a better spot as a program. And I think we saw a lot of similar things that you talked about with Pitt in Jeff Capel's first few years. Like the expectations. I mean, he won 14 games his first year, won 16 the next year, and there was optimism. Everyone was like, okay, this program won 0 ACC games before he came in. Now he's building it up and up, and by that 3rd, 4th year, you were like, all right, now let's win 20 games. So it's going to take some time for West Virginia. Like, if they don't make the tournament this year, I wouldn't freak out, because I respect your point of view on it, where it's like, you want to see things like this year for West Virginia. You want to see things. You want to see the right culture moves. You want to see the right coaching moves and
recruiting.
Recruiting. I mean, their recruiting's on fire right now. Like, they've got a really talented class. So I think Pitt is, I guess, in a long way of saying it, let's say Oh, man. I'd say 76-68.
Okay.
76-68. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to check back in with you.
76-68
after the game.
Okay.
I think that'll be the score.
So they're going to go below their average in scoring.
Yeah.
Well below it, about 10, 11 points below it, actually.
That's more so because of the competition level that they have played.
Right. That's fair.
I don't anticipate they'll average what they're averaging right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Same with West Virginia. West Virginia's averaging 81. They're not going to average 81 when they get to Power 4 competition.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
What do you got?
I think West Virginia wins the game. I'm sorry. Okay. I think Pitt wins the game.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be a little closer. I think West Virginia's going to play tighter than people expect them to. I'm going to go West Virginia. Pitt. Sorry, I'm going to go Pitt. I'm going to go Pitt. I'm going a little bit higher scoring game because both of these teams like to get out and run.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Pitt 84, West Virginia 79. 5-point game.
Hey, man, that's what I'm rooting for. A closer game. I love this rivalry. I wish it would be. I hope that it'll become a bigger focus around here in Pittsburgh. I know it's a football town, but man, this rivalry and then just Pitt basketball and Duquesne and Robert Morris, like they're just not there yet to the point of like selling out games early in the season. This game might be sold out. I don't know. It probably will be compared to all their other games, but I hope there's a lot of enthusiasm from both sides. I know West Virginia fans will come up to this game. So I'm excited, man. I love going down there too. So this game's always a fun one to attend.
One more quick question, and I'll let you out of here. Yeah. Since you're a portal guy, you cover the portal very closely. I'm sure you probably also are, or at least try to track NIL and how teams are doing in that regard, right? Because it does affect the portal. What's Pitt's NIL looking like right now in basketball?
Yeah, I think the word I would say is competitive. I don't have any insight into the numbers that they're giving out to players or their budget as a team. Based on who they've been able to bring in, how those recruitments seem to go, and what they've done the next season, I think they're in a very competitive spot NIL-wise. Now, I know their collective publicly isn't the most subscribed to group out of all these collectives out there with members and all that. But I think Pitt's basketball program has figured it out where they know how to recruit the right kids in the portal. They can handle them NIL-wise, and they usually get it done pretty quick. Like last year, I don't even think Cam Corrin or Damian Dunn took any other visits other than Pitt. They both committed shortly after their visits, and just very low maintenance, at least publicly, it looked like low maintenance recruitments. Like these kids weren't posting different visits every day. They weren't posting new offers every day. Yeah. They were just quiet on social media. I don't even know if they posted their visit or commitment to Pitt. I think it was just like, these were Pitt's guys. They wanted them. They identified them before the portal opened and didn't tamper with them, obviously. But I'm just saying, like, these guys go in, like, these are our guys. Like Capel said, Cam Corrin dropped, like, I don't even remember the numbers, but 20-something points last year against Pitt. And they saw him. And obviously Leonard Hamilton's nearing the end of his coaching career. I believe his contract, too, at Florida State. So, like, if he hops in, this is our guy. They went, they got it done. I'd assume with that, as well as the past transfers they've gotten, who have been proven at levels of college basketball that are impressive, but maybe not the ACC level. Like Ishmael Leggett coming from the A10, like you guys just saw UMass. That's the level Ishmael Leggett came from at Rhode Island. Zach Austin came from High Point, which is even further down the list in the Big South. So it's like, they've gotten guys from lower levels, which I guess is like the Moneyball way to think of it in the portal. But at the same time, they got Damian Dunn, they got Cam Corrin. Like those two guys, I think should have been significantly higher on all the other transfer rankings I saw. And they're great impact players. So I think they're in a fine spot now. I don't think I've seen an NIL situation as strong as what Huggins had Man, was it 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah. The all season before he got fired.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when he was able to go get Jesse Edwards, Kerr Kriisa.
Right. That class, I mean,
Raekwon Battle, and then, you know, he gets all those guys there, and then boom, everything blows up. Yeah.
And it blows up. But that class was, I mean, just impressed. Like, from, if I could, you know, be a fly on the wall for those negotiations with those players and their agents and West Virginia's side and the collective, whatever, just from what I've seen and, you know, from what you've heard about those players, like, those are big, those were big names in the portal.
Yeah. And what's interesting was, you know, a couple of those guys were foreign players, and the only way you can do NIL deals for foreign players is they have to do it in their own country.
That's crazy. It's a weird wrinkle.
So West Virginia was able to creatively figure out ways. Like, for example, Jesse Edwards, I think it was Jesse Edwards, was back home visiting family during one of their off periods. They had him film a commercial for a company while he was over there.
Yeah.
Right.
Smart.
So that's just one example, you know, and actually on this channel, my former co-host Mountaineer Paul and I did a video about how one of the reasons Jesse Edwards left Syracuse is because they were not creative enough, and they weren't really, he didn't feel like they were making enough effort when it comes to NIL and whatnot. It was one of the things that West Virginia was, you know, they were creative. They worked hard. They were looking for ways to get these guys deals, you know, legally, obviously.
Yeah.
And because if you want to compete, you have to. West Virginia doesn't have the, you know, they're not rolling in money when you look at compared to some of these other programs. So they have to be creative in what they do. And thanks to Hugs, his staff, you know, former director of personnel, Jay Kuntz, they were all able to find creative ways to do that. Now, I do think the new staff is also doing a good job. From what I heard, I think it was the 24/7 Sports guys on their podcast a couple weeks ago. I think the number they are hearing, and it's, again, none of this can be, I don't know if it can be substantiated or proven, but the number they're hearing is about $2.5 million worth of NIL money for the West Virginia basketball program. Is about what they have.
Yeah.
That's pretty good in my opinion. Now, I'm sure it's not Kentucky money or Arkansas money, probably not even Baylor, Kansas State money yet.
Yeah.
But it's getting there. It's growing every year, right? Even I think they took a little bit of a step back when Hugs left, but I think Coach DeVries is, you know, and his staff are slowly trying to get it back up and rolling again. So, you know, they're getting there. Now, you mentioned Jesse. We were talking about Jesse Edwards. I heard a rumor. This is strictly a rumor now.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard some of the numbers I heard thrown around were like $800,000.
Yeah, that I had heard like $1 million. I think,
but I have no idea how accurate that is.
Yeah,
but it's it's reasonable, I guess, for a player of his magnitude.
The crazy thing is the market is changing every day for these transfers. And like, I talked to an agent a few days ago, and I was like, hey man, like, what would you know, let's say a D2 guard transferring up to D1 mid-major, you know, what would he get in the portal if he averaged 20 at a D2 and he's going to be a pretty good player at a D1 now? And he was like, oh man, like, the number will be significantly higher than this upcoming spring than it would be like last spring. And I was like, okay, like, what would the number be? He's like, like, could be $60,000 to $80,000. And it's like, that's a big jump from what we've seen at the mid-major level, for the past few years. So like, that, I mean, again, agent's point of view, like, right. Part of the reason why the market is, why no one knows what the hell they're talking about, is because people float out these numbers. They float out $800K for Jesse. They float out what I just did, 60 to 80K for a mid-major guard. Like, I know some mid-major programs, and I know that that's not the number that they're giving out to every kid.
I personally don't think he was making, Jesse Edwards was making 100K. Now, he might have been making $400K or $500K or $300K. I don't know, but again, maybe he was. I'm not sure. I mean, again, I'm not privy to that information. Yeah. But and like you say, these agents and others are floating these numbers out there to try to set the market. Yeah. And try to get more money in their own pocket. I mean, that's how the game's played at the end of the day. So
exactly. Yeah. It's interesting. But I guess to wrap up the NIL discussion, like, I really hope DeVries gets it going down there. Because man, like I went to Huggins' radio show with Bach a few years ago at whatever that nice bar was down there.
Kegler's, yeah.
Yes. We went to the radio show, and seeing that support was unlike anything I've seen, up here. And it's just the state loves their teams, their Mountaineers. Like it's cool to see. And as someone who covers Pitt, like I hope Pitt gets to that point too, where like the passion is there around the fan base, where everyone used to say this is the hardest ticket in town, to get a ticket to a Pitt basketball game in, the early 2000s. So I hope both programs, keep trending upward, keep this momentum going, and it'll only make the rivalry better.
Absolutely.
So I'm jacked up for this edition, and then for future games too.
All right, awesome. Well, George, man, thanks again for coming on. Kept you a little longer than I wanted to, but I appreciate your time. Again, go find George. He works at the Portal Report. You can find him on X at Micahlowski. It's Michahlowski. I'm sorry, SKICBB. It's at Micahlowski, CBB for college basketball. Find him on X. And again, he's at the Portal Report. He's also at Pittsburgh Sports Now, covering Pitt among some other schools. So, George, thanks again, man, for taking time out of your day to join me.
Of course. Thanks, Couz. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for tuning into the show. And we're done.